Welcome to Calculating the Annual Percentage Rates of ETFs. I'm your host, Dr. B. Today is episode 16, April 24th, 2025. Today's episode is on the Vanguard Total Index ETF, otherwise known as VTI. When I presented this ETF a year ago, what happened was, if you invested $10,000 in April 2014, your $10,000 would have been worth about $30,635. And that would have been an annual percentage rate of 11.35%. Not too shabby. But what has happened in the past year in the stock market? Well, I would say this: the past 3 months have not been too good in the stock market. Stock market has gone down. So therefore, the stock market has gone down. The Vanguard Total Index has gone down. So if you notice here, we have a little dip at the end here, at the end of 2024, beginning of 2025. And that dip, if you would have invested $10,000 in April 2015, that would be worth today $29,104. Year to date, the Vanguard Total Index is down 10.4%. A year ago, year to date, it was up 3.74%. That's why I've always said, and always will say in every episode, sometimes more than once, past performance is not indicative of future results. So let's see what else we have. Well, again, in March 31st, 2024, this was the breakdown in all 11 sectors. The number one sector is usually, when it comes to the total stock market, is technology at 29.5%, followed by financial services, and then close behind with healthcare, and then consumer cyclical. Now, what has happened a year later? Let's see. Well, let's go back. Let's see. Technology is at 29.41%, so it didn't really lose anything. But if you notice here, financial services went from 12.55% up to 14.51%. So that took the second spot, where healthcare is now in third spot. Well, actually, it was in third spot last year too, but now it's down to 11.45%. Still a lot for healthcare, but if you're following the healthcare industry, healthcare has not done well in the last several years. And also in fourth place is consumer cyclical at 10.36%. Real estate really hasn't changed much at all. That's 2.83%, 2.85% in the past year. Not much at all. Consumer defense really hasn't changed. Utilities went up a little bit, and basic materials went down just a little bit. So again, you're still diversified. You have to be if you buy the total stock market. Now, what were the holdings a year ago? Well, the number one holding was Microsoft, Apple, and then NVIDIA. Now, NVIDIA has not done well at all in 2025. It's taken a bath lately. So let's see what we have here. Apple is now back to being number one spot at 6.19%. So them and Microsoft has changed places. Well, there's still money invested in NVIDIA. Matter of fact, more money is being invested in by the total stock market at 4.66%. Amazon, wow, Amazon's still relatively the same percentage, the same weight, followed by Meta. And then Alphabet went down a little bit, and Berkshire Hathaway Class B shares, they exchanged positions. Broadcom jumped to 8th place, and then Eli Lilly is no longer in the top 10, and Tesla now rounds out at 1.31%. As a matter of fact, as I speak today, Tesla earnings just came in. All right, let's see what we have here. For a 5-year chart, because not everybody wants to go back 10 years, so you always want to look either 5 years or 10 years out. If we compare the total stock market to two other ETFs, total stock market the last 5 years is up a whopping 100.72%. So that means it doubled its money actually in the last 5 years, which is excellent. IWD, that is the Russell 2000. They're more known for value, I believe. So that's up still 77.78% in the last 5 years. That's still very good. And then IWF, growth. Growth always drives the market. Growth is up 126.76%. Now, again, there's not going to be a financial advisor that's going to tell you put all your money in growth. You have to be diversified. But if you did put all your money in growth, then you should be up 126% in the last 5 years. See what else we have. Yes, I've been here all this time. I just didn't want to show my face earlier because you need to see the graphics more important than what I look like. I really haven't changed much. Hopefully I won't change much in the next several years. In any event, as you remember, the Vanguard Total Index is compounded quarterly. Here is our formula. Present value is equal to the principal times 1 plus your rate divided by number times compounded, raised to a power of number times compounded multiplied by time in years. So if you watched my previous videos, you should be quite familiar with this formula. And again, let's now calculate the annual percentage rates of Vanguard Total Index. I will go a little fast. So we have the compound interest formula, and that is given information right here. Now we're going to substitute the information with our numbers. So if you don't remember our numbers from a couple of frames back, the present value based on a $10,000 investment is $29,104. And that's equal to $10,000, your initial investment, times 1 plus the rate divided by 4, raised to a power of 40. Again, it's compounded 4 times per year. Then we gotta get rid of the 10,000 by using division property of equality. So we're gonna divide 29,104 by 10,000. So think of it this way: 29 divided by 10, that's about 2.9. So you're gonna have a decimal a little bit more than 2.9. It's gonna be 2.9104, and that's equal to 1 plus r over 4 raised to a power of 40. And then we're going to apply what's called the natural logarithm. Seems like my server is a little slow right now getting things up to bat. That's okay, we know how to handle technology. So the natural log of both sides of 2.9104 is equal to the natural log of 1 plus r over 4 raised to a power of 40. And then you have to apply the natural log by taking what is the natural log of 2.9104. So have your calculator ready. And then when you do that, you get a decimal. And decimal, I believe, is 1.0683. And that's equal to 40. Once again, the 40 becomes a multiplier. That's the application of natural log of 1 plus 4r over 4. And then you're going to use what's called division property of equality. And you're going to divide 40 into 1.083, and you get a much smaller decimal of 0.0267075. Now here's a question. Can you round to 0.0267? Yes, you can. You can do that. I notice this ends in a 5, so I like to leave the 5 in there. But you can round that to 4 decimal places. That's quite all right. The final percentage is not going to be off too much, if anything. And then you're going to do the inverse of the natural log, which is e, the natural exponent. So you e both sides. So you take e to that very small decimal. And when you take e to a very small decimal that begins with 0.0 something, you'll get a 1 instead of that, because e, any number raised to 0 is 1. So this decimal is going to be a little bit more than 1. So then we simplify, and you get a decimal of 1.0. Let's see what we have here. Boy, this is very slow today. 1.027067 is equal to 1 plus r over 4. Yes, I'm just doing a take here. I'm not doing 2 takes. I want to get this done. My Ed Wood approach to making videos. Who's Ed Wood? Look that up. That should be in your music, your movie classes. Then you subtract 1 on both sides, subtraction property of equality, and then you get a much smaller decimal of 0.027067. It's equal to r over 4. And then to get rid of the fraction, you multiply by the denominator, both sides by 4. Of course, multiplication property of equality. And I can do this in my head. That's 0.1082 So they are round to 5 decimal places. And I can take that 27 just round to 3. So that's basically 0.1083. Hey, we have our interest rate of 10.83%. So that's what's happened if you had invested back in this time in April 2015. Now that would be worth about an annual percentage rate of 10.83%. Yeah, that's actually pretty good. Here's why it's pretty good. If you take the rule of 72, if the rule of 72 will come up here, there we go. You would divide 72 by the interest rate, and you get approximately 7 years for your investment to double. Again, no one can tell you when your investment will double, but they can always use past performance. Once again, as I mentioned before, and always will, past performance is not indicative of future results. You could lose your money, your principal could go down, but safe investment is always, I believe, ETFs, especially when you're in a total stock market. Thank you very much for watching my video. I am Dr. B. Tune in next month for another video on another ETF.